The squirrel was magic!
Hey, this is Animankia. I'm your host, Mark.
And Andrew Sefton, hi.
It's been a while. We've been missing the last 2 weeks. Lots of weather conditions and extraneous circumstances to deal with, sadly. But we're back. We plan to stay consistent for as long as we can.
Yeah, unless weather tries to screw us again.
Or God. Dun, dun, dun. But anyway.
Struck down on live shows.
Oh, can you just imagine lightning? But anyway, yeah. So we are here today to talk more about kaiju than anything else, as opposed to our general balance. Or so far, it's been more anime than kaiju. But this
will still have them in it. We're just doing it's more of a kaiju influence on just
other
medias.
Forms of media. Yeah. American movies, American cartoons, anime, because anime, and stuff like that. We didn't talk about, I don't know about video games, but anyway,
there's a few.
Yeah, but so yeah, that's what this one's gonna be about. But first, as usual, we brought figures. Mine are very disappointing in comparison to Andrew, so we're gonna
because of the last podcast we had, he brought some, and I brought kaijuistic figures,
and my anime figures were bigger than his kaijus. So this time I brought tiny anime figures, and he brought giant kaijus for a more accurate size reference. So.
And just to tell Mark to go screw himself.
Yeah, I deserved it. So this is a figure I've brought before. It's Aladdin, and you're like, why did you bring that twice? Well, honestly, because I forgot. But but I also brought his little partner, Ugo, who I didn't bring before. This is not at all representative of how big Ugo is. He's like 50 times as big as Aladdin. But he's a little genie who, his head is stuck in a flute, which Aladdin is wearing. That more accurately shows the size of the flute. Yeah, he's a pretty badass djinn. Has some cool powers. He's nice. Although he kind of doesn't last in the series too long. But he's great. Everyone watch Maggie. It's really good. And I also brought the Gin Toki Sakata.
The squirrel was magic! The squirrel was magic!
Hey, this is Animankia. I'm your host, Mark.
And Andrew Sefton, hi.
It's been a while. We've been missing the last 2 weeks. Lots of weather conditions and extraneous circumstances to deal with, sadly. But we're back. We plan to stay consistent for as long as we can.
Yeah, unless weather tries to screw us again.
Or God. Dun, dun, dun. But anyway.
Struck down on live shows.
Oh, can you just imagine lightning? But anyway, yeah. So we are here today to talk more about kaiju than anything else, as opposed to our general balance. Or so far, it's been more anime than kaiju. But this
will still have it'll still have them in it. We're just doing it's more of a kaiju influence on just
other
media. Yeah.
American movies, American cartoons, anime, because, anime. And, stuff like that. We didn't talk about, I don't know about video games, but anyway.
Yeah, there's a few.
Yeah. But, so yeah, that's what this one's going to be about. But first, as usual, we brought figures. Mine are very disappointing in comparison to Andrew's, so we're going to
because of the last podcast we had, he brought some, and I brought kaijuistic figures.
And my anime figures were bigger than his kaijus. So this time I brought tiny anime figures, and he brought giant kaijus for a more accurate size reference. So.
And just to tell Mark to go screw himself.
Yeah, I deserved it. So this is a figure I've brought before. It's Aladdin, and you're like, why did you bring that twice? Well, honestly, because I forgot. But but I also brought his little partner, Ugo, who I didn't bring before. This is not at all representative of how big Ugo is. He's like 50 times as big as Aladdin. But he's a little genie who, his head is stuck in a flute, which Aladdin is wearing. That more accurately shows the size of the flute. Yeah, he's a pretty badass djinn. Has some cool powers. He's nice. Although he kind of doesn't last in the series too long. But he's great. Everyone watch Maggie. It's really good. And I also brought Gin Toki Sakata, also known as objectively the best character ever created. I'm sorry if you disagree, but you're wrong. Yeah, he's the main character of Gintama. I'll never shut up about it, but
no, he won't.
This isn't the day to talk about Gintama. We'll have that podcast, but he's awesome. He's a samurai. This figure is only one of the many I have of him, but I brought it because it's kind of similar to the size of my Aladdin figure. And now for the much more relevant to this podcast and much superior, more expensive $300 figures that we're going to be getting into by Mr. Sefton. You should really end with that one, I think. But do what you
probably.
Want to do. Start with
we'll do this guy,
the weird little wannabe Godzilla.
He's not wannabe Godzilla. This is Gorosaurus. He first appeared in actually not a Godzilla film. He appeared in King Kong Escapes, where on an island where Kong lives, this creature showed up and Kong proceeded to beat the crap out of it and break its jaw. Typical what he always does,
That's
except he didn't kill it. He only broke its jaw.
So he was just feeling merciful that day?
No, he actually thought that he killed it because Gorosaurus can play dead.
Oh.
But then he apparently, people liked him, so he was rebranded as a Godzilla monster. So he showed up in a few other scenes. He's only ever had one other fight scene where he teamed up with Godzilla, Anguirus, Rodan, Mothra, and a monster Kamanga, a giant spider, where they proceeded to fight King Ghidorah.
Huh.
Gorosaurus didn't really do too much other than after Godzilla wrestled him to the ground after trying to fly away, he basically, while Godzilla's holding his head, trying to keep him from going around, Gorosaurus ran around behind and did his trademark kangaroo kick. That's literally,
wow.
That is literally his move. He will rear back on his tail and kick.
And it actually did something.
It knocked Ghidorah to the ground.
And that makes Ghidorah kind of look bad. Ghidorah is supposed to be the most renowned badass Godzilla enemy, and he got kicked by this kangaroo thing.
But they reflected on Ghidorah's one weakness. Ghidorah has no arms, so when he got kicked to the ground, he can't get up.
He's a dang turtle.
He can get up, it's just very difficult for him. He has to flap his wings, and the other monsters were kind of pinning him down, so he couldn't really do much.
That is comical.
And then Godzilla still had one head, Anguirus had another one, biting it, and Gorosaurus went for the tails. So that was about Gorosaurus' influence on that, and then ever since then, the big guy has never really showed up very much since.
One day he will come back and strike vengeance into the...
I would love it if he actually did show up again, because Gorosaurus is pretty badass. Next up, we have probably what could have been the darkest Godzilla movie ever, but Hedorah.
I think it's wacky.
He is wacky, but he is essentially the living incarnate of pollution. Man-made pollution created this monster. And
I'm sure to turn him around to show that cool back thingy.
Yeah, that's where he holds the poison and pollution that he absorbs from smokestacks, pollution in the water, wherever he can find pollution.
Kind of reminds me of a berserk monster.
In a way. But yeah, his body is so acidic that when Godzilla was fighting him, he would punch literally straight through him, and after he did it the second time, Godzilla's hand was turned to bone. Hedorah's interior body is so acidic that it will eat away flesh.
Dang, humanity, you scary.
Yeah. And then he really, all that said, seems like that Hedorah would be a pretty powerful monster to deal with. But then they kind of went a little overboard with him. They gave him a laser shooting out of his eyes. He can change forms like a tadpole into a frog and everything, where he could fly. So, and then he joined the giant form that he is now, which this is not a bad form, but the other forms weren't terrible, but they just made the movie almost a little too friendly-like.
Surprising, considering that monster is like one of the most bizarre, evil-looking Godzilla monsters
and
I've
the most
seen.
deadly. This thing actually would fly over cities with poison gas flying out of him, and it would turn thousands of people to skeletons right in the middle of the street in seconds.
Dang. And they tried to make it friendly, like the movie.
Well, not so much friendly. They just didn't. They put in just stupid concepts that kind of ruined it, and that was also the debut of Godzilla's first ever flight.
I didn't know that ever happened.
Yeah, Hedorah tried to fly away from him, and Godzilla decided to chase after him by breathing his fire at the ground
and shooting up.
Not shooting up, but he actually used it to fly after him.
Yeah, I've seen that, like a gif of that. It honestly looks ridiculous, but I understand special effects at the time.
Yeah, but that just should not have been done, because they even tried playing like some American themed music like that he's chasing after him.
Like a dang rodeo song, like dirt, dirt, dirt.
More like a Captain America-esque type song. So yeah, Hedorah...
Comedy gold.
Yeah. Hedorah could have been one of the darkest monsters, but they decided to make him a little too whatever. And he's still very formidable, but a lot of people don't like his movie. They like him, but not his movie.
And here...
And then from the one that a lot of people don't like so much is Shin Godzilla, this is his third form, Shinagawa-kun.
I thought Shin Godzilla was popular.
And... not so much in the States.
Oh, okay.
In Japan, it was really popular, but not a lot of people in the States really like it all that much, just because they just don't like it. Which I don't see why. It's like they kind of went back to the original look and almost the same feel as the original 54 Godzilla.
And look at that tail.
Yeah.
That tail is colossal.
But compared to Shin's, his fourth form, this tail is nothing.
Tell me how much you spent for that, Andrew.
I spent about $330 on this thing.
Dedication or obsession, call it what you want, but it's
Probably
passion either way.
Yes. Which I know that a lot of people also say is like they don't like it so much because of the way they make Shin and Shinagawa-kun look in their body designs. But they make it to where the body looks like that they are just being after effects of radiation poisoning, which your skin just like melts off your body. You're in constant agonizing pain and just all other kinds of just terror. So they went with that they went with it for the kind of the look for Shinagawa-kun, but with Shin, he is in extreme agonizing pain, like skin is even more ripping off of his chest in fourth form. His arms are tilted up like he's in constant agonizing pain. So they made him look really interesting in the design.
Mm-hmm. This is the second last form of Shin Godzilla, right?
That we seen.
Yeah.
Like they kept
Because
saying...
at the end, they showed the weird tree-looking thing.
Not so much trees. They were extra forms of him just, like, spouting out of his tail.
Yeah, it was a wacky ending.
Yeah. But they were leading up to a possible sequel, which actually has been confirmed to be after Godzilla vs. Kong in 2020. So I think in 2021, we will get Shin Godzilla 2.
Yeah. Sounds pretty legitimate.
Yeah.
I like it. But anyway, so yeah, we also went to go see 2 movies in the last couple weeks, while we were unable to do the podcast.
Yes.
Sadly. Yeah, so we went to go see Pacific Rim 2 and also Ready Player One. We also just yesterday saw A Quiet Place, but it doesn't really involve kaijus or anything too much, so we're not going to really talk about that.
Just say that it was still a very good movie, and we highly recommend seeing it.
Yes, it's very unique. Like, for a horror movie, it's hard to be original, so definitely check out A Quiet Place as a random recommendation, but yeah, so we'll talk about Pacific Rim 2 first, because I think most people probably want to hear about...
Probably about Ready Player One.
Ready Player One more, so we'll start with the lesser popular one. But Pacific Rim 2 was pretty interesting. Like, how did you think it compared to Pacific Rim 1?
Compared to the original Pacific Rim, I would really rate it very low.
Ooh, rough.
Yes.
Rough.
I still liked what they did with the kaiju in Pacific Rim Uprising.
There's weren't a lot of them.
Yeah, there was not a lot. There was 3. 3 freaking kaiju. Still good. Yeah, they were still They were very powerful, and they had other little aspects in there. They had like the different Jaegers that were being controlled by kaiju brains implanted in instead of the pilots, which was an interesting concept. And we'll bring something up about a later topic that we're going to talk about that kind of corresponds with that.
Talking about Evangelion?
About Evangelion, yes.
Yeah, they're very similar to the Avas from Evangelion. But yeah, we'll talk about more about those kind of kaiju when we get to them.
Yes.
But and then the end, like, I guess if you're really interested in Pacific Rim 2, you might want to like close your ears for a minute. Close your ears for a minute or two. But at the end, the kaiju managed to like join up and become a larger, more deadly kaiju, and that thing was unstoppable.
It was. Like, all 4 Jaegers fighting it could not even scratch it, and he ripped them in half like you were snapping a toothpick.
Yeah. We won't reveal how like that whole situation ends off, but say that at least that part was pretty impressive.
Yes, the final 20 minutes to a half an hour of the movie were very good.
Yeah. And as far as like the characters and everything like that in the movie goes, they were alright and whatnot, but nothing like... I think the characters in the first movie were probably a little better too, even though I like the main character of Pacific
Compared
Rim 2.
to, like, to quote a friend of ours, he went and seen the movie the other day, and he said that the Pacific Rim 2, it lacked soul compared to the original one.
It was kind of going through the motions, and it didn't have anything original. Yeah, it didn't have
trying to just copy the original Pacific Rim.
Let's say the mechs were like smaller and more compact. And,
very small.
Yeah, but yeah. So it was a fun time. I enjoyed it, even though it wasn't like anything mind blowing.
Yes.
So you think they're ever gonna make a Pacific Rim 3, or do you think this is it for the franchise? Or I wonder, did you hear anything about how Pacific Rim 2 did on the box office? Do you know anything about that?
I know that it did very poorly, but the way they ended it, I would not be surprised if they try to do a third one just to try to round out.
Yeah, because
most things today are done in trilogies.
That's true. But if they can't maintain...
Whether they're good or bad, they'll still do a trilogy.
Yeah, and give it a chance. We'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, anything else on Pacific Rim 2?
Not really. There's not that much to talk about.
Yeah, like I said, very simple movie. Don't know how I can like indicate to people who close their ears for spoilers that we're done with spoiler territory, but I'll make this random X and hopefully they get it. From now on, we'll explain that.
Spoiler alert. Well,
spoiler alert is now X.
Yeah.
And then when you see us make another X, that's the end of the spoilers. And if you're still got your ears closed, you're wondering why we're making X's, sorry about your luck, but hopefully you go back to this part of the video. The amount of people who care about the spoilers of Pacific Rim 2 are probably very few because, oh, the plot of Pacific Rim 2, how could I get that spoiled? It's so deep. But, sorry, obvious sarcasm, but... anyway, on to Ready Player One. Yeah. So, a lot more hype surrounding this movie.
Very much.
It was Steven Spielberg.
Obviously.
You know, so everyone's like, he's got his name attached to it, and people lose their minds.
People lose their minds!
People lose their minds! I hope you get that reference.
Yes.
But anyway, yeah, it was a pretty interesting movie too. It wasn't particularly, it was kind of like Pacific Rim where it wasn't that deep, but like the world building was fantastic.
And all the cameos were just unbelievable. So much stuff. Like, we actually are saying we have to go see the movie at least 2 or 3 more times because you cannot catch all the cameos in one viewing.
Yeah, and even if the movie didn't like catch people's attention like enough to want to buy it because of the plot itself, it's still gonna sell Blu-rays out the wazoo just because people are gonna want to pause every single scene and be like, ooh, this character, ooh, that character, because there's
everywhere
armies of
like normally like, you're looking just at like the screen and you're like, okay, there's like a couple characters here and there, but it's like, no, you actually have to look at every corner of the screen because you'll miss a character.
I don't know if this is going to pan out for the producers of the movie, because while it's good, it's going to have to make back so much money in DVD sales and movie sales because the amount of rights they had to buy for this movie, they probably spent so much money. I feel bad for them.
Yes,
but
which
maybe
is part of the reason why we are including it in this one. One, because we wanted to give its review, and 2, because Spielberg actually had to go through a lot to get the rights to a certain thing that was in the movie.
And it didn't get in. You're talking about Ultraman?
No, but yeah, Ultraman was the one thing that Spielberg could not get the rights to.
Because
Ultraman is in the middle of a lawsuit between his 2 or 3 studios, which is surprising that even Spielberg was not able to get his rights.
They take that seriously.
So they had to change it up from the book, because in the book it's supposed to be a final fight between Ultraman and something else. They could not get the rights to Ultraman, so they replaced Ultraman with the Iron Giant, which at first I was not big on, but after seeing Ultraman or the Iron Giant in the movie, it made a good substitute.
Yeah, I think they like. I mean, obviously they did kind of turn the Iron Giant into like just a battle mech when it's the Iron Giant's supposed to be kind of peaceful,
right?
But you know.
It was they needed something else to be in there, so they used him, and that was easy to get for Spielberg to get the rights to him.
Yeah, and it's worth note that we aren't book readers. We didn't read the book, so we're not going to be.
I do plan on reading the book though, so
we sat behind people who were book readers, and at the end of the movie, it was just a slew of complaints. They changed this, they changed that, and I have no right to complain because I complain about people changing things from manga all the time. So,
right.
but
the thing that they were trying to get Ultraman to fight in the movie is the reason why he is included in this podcast is because they brought in Mechagodzilla.
And he was redesigned.
Redesigned, which a lot of people, I did see the stuff on, they liked the design, but a lot of people did not just because they changed him up so much.
Yeah, they turned him into a Swiss Army knife. He was decked out.
Well, that was actually really cool, but I personally love the design considering that this movie takes place in what, like 2032 or something?
Ooh, was that what it was?
Something like that.
I'm glad you remember.
And so it's like, at first it's like, okay, they changed him up way too much, but it's like, okay, this is probably just a futuristic version of Mechagodzilla. Not so much that they changed him up, that's probably the Mechagodzilla.
He's just been upgraded that many times.
He's just been upgraded. Which, after seeing the movie and everything, I went back and looked at some of the old designs for Mechagodzilla. They actually really took, like, all four of Mechagodzilla's previous designs and just meshed them.
Ah.
So it wasn't so much they came up with a brand new design. They kind of just incorporated every old version into a brand new one.
An amalgamation of awesome.
Pretty much.
Yes.
And as it can be seen, we have a picture of Mechagodzilla to show what he actually looks like, and he was amazing. The only thing that I like about it, but I feel like they went a little overboard with, was they gave him Godzilla's atomic breath, the blue atomic breath.
Yeah.
Which in reality, he's only supposed to have a maser cannon beam. But overall, Mechagodzilla was still a beast. He fought not Ultraman. He fought the Iron Giant. He fought Gundams. Yeah, he fought all kinds of shit, and he was just wrecking everything.
Yeah, a little late for the spoiler warning here, but there was a Gundam, and it was glorious. It was
really cool. It came in with the big shield, just backhanded him.
With its pose, like slid, like it was so cool. And I'm not even the biggest Gundam fan in the universe.
Neither am I.
Seeing Mechagodzilla versus a dang Gundam was the highlight of my day.
Oh, it really was. It was very, very nice.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, outside of that, since it's supposed to be kind of a movie review too, I thought like the only thing I really from the plot perspective of the movie I was kind of weirded out by was like they relied on the game so much for everything in everyday life. Like everyone got their money from the game, so like the people were getting into like a divorce because they weren't making enough money out of the game, and I don't even know. It's like supposed to be 15 years from now. I can't see gaming being that relevant among everyone in the world. They made it out to be like the game controls the entire world and everyone plays it, and if you're not playing the game, you're not
making any money.
Yeah, think of older people. They're not going to play that game. They don't care.
But they did actually show older people playing the game. So
yeah, and then also people were like falling over and tripping over things while they were playing the game, and somehow that still just made it to store shelves, and no one thought to return it. So there's a couple little weird things here and there with that, but it's a movie, so.
Ready Player One was very good.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was good, fun popcorn flick, and great world building, great cameos. There was won't talk about the other cameos too much because it doesn't relate to this podcast much, but just to name off a few, there was an awesome Chucky cameo. Chucky used as a weapon, and he was hilarious. There was the Akira bike.
Oh yeah,
from the movie Akira, which I just gave to Andrew, and he will be watching that soon because I said it on camera, which means he has to.
Damn, it's out there now. I have to.
Next week, Andrew talks about Akira.
We shall see.
Ooh, now I really got you.
We shall see.
Yeah, but yeah, there was an Akira bike, and it was pretty well represented, if you ask me.
They also had just another cameo in there. Probably not too many more, we'll say, but they had Goro from Mortal Kombat. I don't know if you're very familiar with him, but he's a big four-armed, wrestler dude? Mm-hmm. And he was pretty badass in there. He was only in there for a very short time, but he was very cool in there. Just seeing how they would design everything in there and made him look so good.
Yeah, I thought it looked great. Oh, and I heard you like Tracer because Tracer was in the movie a lot.
Tracer was in it like everywhere
because apparently she's Spielberg's waifu.
So. Something like that.
I don't know.
Anyway, moving on.
Moving on to more relevant topics. Let's go to kaiju influences in Western movies. And by references, we mean not only direct
them
references, like either them themselves or just influence from the kaiju genre in general.
Yeah, like some things like just like a giant monster that resembles like a Toho kaiju or just a kaiju itself.
Yeah. Which we already talked about Pacific Rim 2, but there's obviously the first Pacific Rim, which we've already kind of covered that, so we don't have to go into it very much. There's Cloverfield, which I never watched personally. You did. Mm-hmm. You weren't the biggest fan because the kaijus weren't really there. They weren't very visible because of the found footage kind of style.
Yeah, like you got to see him a few times, like him stomping over buildings and stuff, but you don't really get a good look at him until like the very end when they're in a helicopter, and that's only for like a few split-second scenes.
Yeah,
but I will.
Wasn't like the terror aspect good? They still make it feel like the terror was real despite the fact that you couldn't see it, or was it really lame? I didn't see it, so.
They did have a terror aspect to it, but more of kind of like what we got from A Quiet Place.
Okay, but The Quiet Place, you got to see those creatures.
Yeah, that's my point. Like, you got to see that, but overall, I'm not dissing Clover itself. I love the design for it.
For the monster, you mean?
That's actually what they call it. His name is Clover. But yeah, I love his design, despite the fact that it was pretty much a baby.
I see. Wasn't there two?
No, just one.
Oh, okay. I saw, and we both saw, Cloverfield Lane, which we shouldn't really be talking about too much because the monster wasn't really the point of that movie.
Right.
It was like a psychological thriller about the threat of the monster, which I guess, if you think thematically, it is similar to the original Cloverfield because the first Cloverfield was about the terror of a looming threat of a kaiju being around, but there's found footage, so you keep missing it. Whereas Cloverfield Lane was, you keep hearing that this monster exists, but you actually think, like, if you had not seen Cloverfield, if you just thought Cloverfield Lane was a standalone movie, which, since it was the first one I saw, I might as well have, you might think that the characters are just crazy, because there's this guy, and he's saying, there's a monster out there, and you gotta be careful, because the end times are coming, and he's acts like a wacko, and the main girl doesn't believe him, and it's like a psychological thriller. Come to find out, there really are monsters, but the guy is also...
so much that it was monsters, it was saying like that the world was getting to where you could not survive outside. Like pollution with like the air, like you would die in seconds.
Yeah, but it's also, it's even more about just like the relationship between the guy who's played by John Goodman and the main female character. It's been a while since I watched it, don't remember her name.
I don't either.
But that movie is great. It's probably, from what I understand, the best of the Cloverfield movies. And then, what was the third one? I also never saw that.
Cloverfield Paradox.
And that's recent? Really recent? Recent?
It did not have a theatrical release. It went straight to Netflix.
Ah, and wasn't good.
No, it got terrible reviews. Like, it's basically all in space. Which even I have never even seen the movie, but all I know is like I saw like a little advertisement thing on YouTube that was like the returning from Cloverfield Paradox. I'm like, what the hell is this? Clicked on the thing.
Disappointment.
Yeah. And it turns out like you see them falling through the clouds, and then just out of nowhere you see like an adult version of Clover come up out of the clouds, which is saying like, okay, these things are dwarfing just everything. Like they are up almost in like the stratosphere type thing. These things are huge.
Yeah.
And that's all it really had. Just seeing it come up over the clouds, roar, and cut to black.
Oh. Fun.
Oh, yeah, it was a blast.
I guess another movie series. And, you know, it's kind of odd to say it's kaiju because they're based on real things, but Jurassic Park, technically kind of a kaiju flick, you know? Especially when you would talk about Jurassic World, considering, you know, the
Indominus.
The Indominus is a fictional monster and it's intelligent. So I think Indominus is kind of small, but would kind of classify more as a kaiju than the rest of the things in Jurassic Park.
I would say, but in a way, they're all fictional hybrinistic creatures.
Which, by the way, just along those lines, I thought it was so funny how they retconned the scales and whatnot. Because when Jurassic Park first came out, I'm sure everyone who's a Jurassic Park fan knows what I'm about to say. But when the original Jurassic Park came out, we didn't have the information that dinosaurs had feathers, and dinosaurs looked this way. So they were just basing them on what we thought dinosaurs looked like at the time. Well, then Jurassic World comes out, and the scientist is talking to the main zoo owner. And he's like, "You're the one who told us to make them look as cool as possible and not be realistic compared to how they should look." And it's like, oh, okay, so that's what was going on. It's not...
And something else that actually I just recently found out, it's from, like, an explanation of probably, like, the worst one that people review as a Jurassic Park movie, which is Jurassic Park 3. Mm-hmm. Not a lot of people really like that movie at all, just because it brought just a lot of stuff out of nowhere.
Right?
Yeah, Spinosaur.
Okay.
It just brought stuff out of nowhere. Nothing really got explained. Like Spiny, for example, it just came out of nowhere. It's like, okay, it's here. It kills a Rex, and it's like, okay, I'm the new antagonist, and no explanation where it comes from. But then, like, apparently with Jurassic World, there's a website that if you go to it, there's a secret Merzerani, I can't say his name.
You got this.
But backdoor website that if you go in, you do a few code things, it actually comes up with a email that Henry Wu, the guy that actually makes all the dinosaurs, said. He was like in a research with his gene splicing of trying to
the character is named.
Yeah. Okay. But this is an explanation from like in the movie as to why things are doing like this. Like he actually tried to make dinosaurs with feathers. He tried, but something went wrong, and he said that his research created problems with which comes out to then say that he found that out with the accident that they left on Sorna.
So this was just like a hidden thing on the website?
Yeah.
That is an Easter egg and a half.
It is, referencing something else, because Isla Sorna is the second island which takes place on the second and third movie. Mm-hmm. And the accident, a lot of people are referring to as the Spinosaurus, because making the Spinosaurus the first true hybrid before the Indominus.
What? So it was a hybrid all along?
Yeah.
What?
Considering how big, how powerful, and how mean it was. Mm-hmm. Which in reality, Spinosauruses are...
I thought they were bigger than T-Rexes.
They are, but they're not that powerful.
Okay.
Because, like, the biggest controversy they have with that is the start of the T-Rex Spino fight. The Rex bit Spiny's neck. Mm-hmm. Which, in reality, even though that Rex was not full grown, Spiny should have been dead. Mm-hmm. No matter how... Dead. Granted, yeah, a newborn couldn't have done it, but a T-Rex at that young, or that age... Still, I would have had enough bite force to snap a Spino's neck. Ah. That thing shook it off, grabbed hold, and snapped the T-Rex's neck. No Spinosaurus should be able to be that powerful unless it's genetically modified.
I see.
So yeah.
Dang, actually explain that. That's awesome.
Yeah, which is why people are starting to like the movie a little bit more, because they're
retcons.
Because they're actually going back and referencing older events that never had an explanation.
Hey, good retcons. I guess they're acceptable.
Yeah. So, in a way, Indominus is not the first hybrid that Jurassic Park ever created. Spinosaur was by accident.
Mind is blown. See, we're learning things today. I had no idea. That's nice.
Yep.
Good job, Andrew. All right. So, is there any more American like live action movies that you know that?
There is one. It's kind of a sci-fi movie, so the animation on it's pretty bad. But
so wouldn't this be under TV? No, that's okay. Go for it.
Well, it was on Sci-Fi originally, but then it is a video release, so
okay.
I would still count it as movie.
Okay.
It's called Reptilian, where they basically find a extinct dinosaur that's way bigger than anything should be. Like, it's basically a kaiju, mm-hmm. and they're unearthing it, and then people start dying at the dig site. Just, like, out of nowhere, like, there's huge gaping holes in the chests of people, and they're like, well, what's going on? Mm-hmm. The scientist that's digging it up is just like, ignore, throwing money at, just dig the thing up.
Throw money at it.
Yeah. So, when they do finally unearth the skeleton, turns out an alien race was monitoring it, beamed it with a beam, brought it back to life, and were controlling it.
So it was a zombie dinosaur?
No, it had
sci-fi monster?
It had a full skin body.
Zombie monster! Robot dinosaur!
But no, it basically was pretty much Godzilla, in a way. It breathed fire, it did all this kind of stuff, and its name was Young Gary.
That's an interesting name.
Yeah. And so they brought it all around, just making it destroy cities, everything, until they found out that, like, it was being controlled by, like, a diamond emblem gem it had on its forehead. And they finally managed to destroy that, which set him free. Mm-hmm. which turns out young Gary was actually a peaceful creature. It did not like to fight. It wanted to avoid at all costs.
But it was possessed.
It was being controlled, yes. And then they brought another monster out called Cyclor, which they ended up fighting, and it was a very interesting fight, because every time, like, young Gary would blast off, like, one of its pincer arms, it had, like, alien-esque tentacles come out of its arms that would be used to grab onto young Gary and strangle and electrocute him.
Okay.
Which he does eventually kill, and then they just send him... That's just how the movie ends. They send young Gary just somewhere that we have no idea where they sent him.
I see.
So, in other words, Reptilian actually was a pretty good movie, despite it having a pretty low budget. Still a pretty good movie.
I've seen plenty of low-budget movies that are good. You just gotta have good writing.
Yeah.
But, yeah, cool. So, how about some ads? I know you said you know several ads and commercials and whatnot where Godzilla's made direct appearances.
Yep. He's one that I found that I thought was quite funny, is Godzilla actually starred in a Snicker commercial.
Hell to the yeah. I love Snickers.
He's acting like a college boy on a vacation trip, like for spring break. He's playing ping pong with his friends. He's
but with those arms, how?
Godzilla has arms. We're going with the older school
They're
ones.
like little T-Rex arms.
Not Shin's arms. I'm talking about like the one.
With my friends.
I'm talking about the ones like from like the 90s and stuff where he actually has decent arms.
Okay.
He's doing that. He's like
he was
skiing.
lifting.
Yeah, pretty much. Where he's skiing and all that stuff, and then they're like, his buddy's like, "Yo, Godzilla, you gotta eat a Snickers." Like, why? He's like a pretty cool guy. He's like, "Yeah, except for when he's hungry."
Dude, I think I remember that.
Then he turns giant, starts destroying the city, and they throw a Snicker bar up back at him, and then he's down there, he's just picking up chicks. It's like, dude, Godzilla 1, that shows Godzilla's badass, and 2, Godzilla's a playboy.
Godzilla's a pimp.
Godzilla's a pimp.
Pimpzilla. Just imagine Godzilla with a purple hat and a purple tux, just walking around with his pimp cane and his pimp glasses with all of his pimps.
I think he's actually, somebody did a fan art of that.
I did the fan art of that.
Oh, sure you did. But he's been in so much other...
I'll bring it in next week for proof.
He's been so much other media that it is just insane. Like, he's did that. He's done... I think like he did like a Pinky and the Brain cameo.
What?
Yeah. Like, because he came out of the water, and I guess Brain was like gigantic. He thought Pinky was he was wearing a costume. And he started trying to like pretend fight Godzilla. Like, he punched him, he was like, "Alright, make it look good." He just like... And he got Charbroiled, like, "Oh, you're not Pinky."
Yeah.
He's been in just so many other things, like, it's hard to think of just everything that he's been in.
Yeah.
He's appeared on so many TV shows, everything. He's even been in The Simpsons. And Family Guy.
Yeah.
He's been in everything. Godzilla is not just native to Japan.
He's universal.
He is. Plus, he also has his own Hollywood star.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Godzilla is
He's
famous worldwide.
Dang, man. The monster.
The monster.
After killing so many people, he's still so popular.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. It's nice. But is that about all the ads that you can think of?
Just off the top of my head right now. There's so many others. Some more. There's so many ads for him.
Yeah. I guess this isn't like Godzilla himself, but for TV shows and whatnot, that had kaiju influence. And this, since we're talking about Western shows here, this is kind of cheating in my opinion. But, you know, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, something I talked about in the first podcast, being a big fan of when I was younger. But every single episode. Did you watch the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers as a kid?
No, I did not.
Whoa. Whoa. Maybe you should, since you're such a kaiju fan.
Maybe. I mean, I've seen the kaijus that they fought in there, but I never actually watched the shows.
Oh, man. Like, they were old Godzilla level with their costumes and their silly...
Actually, posing. I would say more Ultraman level.
Yeah.
Godzilla back in the day, Godzilla had way more better detailed animation and suitmation shit than Power Rangers ever did.
Yeah, I think they kind of...
Sorry to diss on all the Power Ranger fans, but Godzilla, even back in the 50s, Godzilla had more budget than Power Rangers did.
Yeah, at least for the first few seasons. I think some of the later ones kind of upgraded, but like, for example, in the original series of Power Rangers, it's Villain of the Week. So they'd have a small monster, and they're always corny and terrible. but then Rita Repulsa, this evil space witch, would always like get angry because the Power Rangers won, and then she throws down her staff from the moon, and then the staff hits the ground, causes all these sparks to come out, and then she's like, "Grow, grow, grow," and the monster just
Make my monsters grow.
Make my monsters grow, and then you hear and then you know. And then the Power Rangers theme song kicks in, and your little kid genes get so hyped that you die. Oh, dude. Dave. I'm not gonna sing, but
please God no.
I don't want to. This is not a talent show. I don't want to, show off.
Sure, yeah.
But so yeah, and it was rinse and repeat every episode. Send down your staff. Robots fuse up Voltron style. Have a big epic fight.
I'd say the Green Ranger pretty much had.
Oh yeah,
was pretty much Godzilla.
Yeah, straight up,
Godzilla, pretty much.
Yeah. So the Green Ranger Tommy, aka also the White Ranger Tommy, aka the character or the actor. Do you know Tommy's real name?
Don't.
I think his real name's Jason something, but he's been in like every series of Power Rangers. It's like his life. But yeah, so
he was the coolest one.
Yeah, he was the baddest of the group. Like he was like the sixth member that everyone was hyped about. Like, here's the 5 normal Power Rangers, but here's Tommy, and he's a god. But
he was bad at first.
Yeah, he started out as the Green Ranger, and remember what Ian said? Like, he has a whistle, and it like sounds like a flute. And then, he has a dagger. He has a dagger. He plays it. It sounds like a flute, and then summons a dragon from the nearest body of water,
which is a giant Mechagodzilla mech.
And then the thing would just rise all the water, Godzilla style, and it was evil, had red eyes, shot laser beams just like Godzilla.
More like Mechagodzilla.
Yeah, more like Mechagodzilla, and you freaking specific fuck.
I'm not gonna let you confuse him.
But no, you're right. You're right. Correct me. And then eventually he turned into one of the good guys, betrayed Rita Repulsa and Zed. Zed was a cool villain for a child's show. And he became the White Ranger. And that's where Andrew probably thinks he's less cool because he gets a tiger, like a big tiger after that. But it was still a badass tiger. And as a White Ranger, he looked even cooler than as the Green Ranger.
Oh, yeah.
And then later there was like the Gold Ranger, or he came back as like a Red Ranger. And I don't know. But there was it wasn't just the first series of Power Rangers. Every series of Power Rangers got kaijus up the wazoo. So, but like I said, it's based on Super Sentai, which is a Japanese series. So, Western. Like I do think, and actually some of the series of Power Rangers, they straight up, when they're in their Power Ranger outfits and doing the Megazord fights, they straight up just use the Japanese footage and just dub it.
Probably.
Yeah, but I do think they redid and did some of their own things in later seasons when they started making it more their own.
Makes sense.
But yeah, I only got like 5 or 6 seasons into Power Rangers. I think I quit after like SPD. It's probably 6 or 7 seasons in. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. I was an addict. So yeah, Power Rangers. That was a big TV one. Let's see what else. There was the actual Godzilla cartoon.
Yeah, the Hanna-Barbera Godzilla cartoon.
Yeah.
That was old school as hell.
And it was based on the Godzilla everyone hated, but they actually made him good.
No, wrong one.
Wrong one?
Yeah.
But that was another one though.
Yeah, that's another one. That one actually is good. That one, if it weren't for the movie, I could have seen that being a very popular version of Godzilla. We're talking about the 98 one, the one that basically everybody despises with a passion.
The one that laid eggs and didn't do Godzilla stuff despite being called Godzilla.
That looked like a damn raptor running around New York.
A really big raptor.
But yeah, the Hanna-Barbera one, he is traditional to the original styles Godzillas. He's big, he looks like a full-on dinosaur. The only thing that's a little bit odd is that he shoots lasers out of his eyes, as well as shooting fire out of his mouth. But he's cool, he's really big, he actually works with humans, because they saved one of the stupidest things that they ever decided to create was Godzuki, which is
that even sounds terrible.
Which is essentially a cousin of Godzilla's species that can fly. And it's just basically just picture like a Scooby-Doo, but just almost in like a Godzilla-styled suit-looking thing with wings. It actually sounds like Scooby-Doo when it talks.
Ruh-roh.
Well, it doesn't actually talk; it just grunts and growls.
Oh wow.
But yeah, the monsters that they fight are pretty damn bad. But it was the first time anything had been tried like that, so they did it, and it was very popular.
Was it?
Yeah.
How many seasons did it have?
I think it only had 3, and there was only like 4 or 5 episodes per season.
Oh,
so
wow.
They were very short, but they were very well received.
Cool.
And then there's the TriStar one, which is the
That's
98...
the one that's based on the 98
Yeah.
Godzilla.
That one actually is very good, because like the end of the original 98 one, it shows that there's 1 egg still left in Madison Square Garden.
Okay, so it is a straight-up sequel to the movie.
Pretty much, but just into a cartoon.
Yeah.
But that one actually is so much better. It actually has an amazing plot storyline, despite being a cartoon. And that one is worthy to carry the Godzilla name. because that one actually can breathe fire. Missiles, they can deter him, but they can't really hurt him. And the monsters he fights are very uniquely created. Like, so much, like, some of them are kind of traditional, like he fights Quetzalcoatl, he fights Nessie. They basically go all over the world with this team, which is Nick and a few of the other ones that we saw in the movie.
My mom actually watched that show, so I actually saw it by virtue of my mom watching it. My mom's a cartoon watching person. She watches cartoons constantly. I got her into anime. But
yeah, it's very good. It's a really good show because they form an organization that helps deal with mutations around the world.
Mm-hmm.
So wherever they go, because Nick when he found the Godzilla egg, he fell in like some embryonic fluid or something.
Ew,
so
gross.
when the baby hatched, he imprinted. So he thought Nick was his father. So wherever Nick is in trouble, they have like a sonar beacon that they can call, which will summon Godzilla from just about anywhere that they are.
Legit.
Well, he usually follows them anyway.
They need a flute.
He stays close. He stays to wherever he can sense Nick. So they just stay. He stays close to that, but he only usually shows up if either Nick screams or they use the sonar beacon to summon him.
Yeah, I actually remember that. Ironically.
Yeah, but it's still very, very good.
I see.
Yeah,
cool.
And then another media type thing that we're going to talk about, like for a TV series type thing, is this. It deals with Star Wars, ironically.
Oh yes, Star Wars.
They actually, in one of the Clone Wars series that they made, the people that made it actually wanted to introduce a Godzilla episode. And then they created a monster called the Zillo Beast.
Yeah, which I saw because he showed me the whole clip.
Yeah, the origin is dead on the original Godzilla.
Yeah.
He's on a planet that's being at war. They drop a bomb. It's supposed to only destroy electronics. It's like an EMP bomb.
Okay.
Which it does. But then it creates a giant sinkhole, and this monster is living down in it. And they try to kill it with the planet's gas, which is supposed to be poisonous to them.
Mm-hmm.
It crawls out of the hole and proceeds to just start fighting everything, and Anakin and Mace Windu are fighting it with straight up fucking maser tanks from the Godzilla franchise.
Dead on.
Like they're not even trying to hide it. It's
sound effects were
dead on. Everything else, the monster even does all that, and not even a lightsaber can hurt this thing.
Legit.
And so they end up
Or
catching
is it? Yeah, whatever.
They end up catching it and bringing it to Coruscant, where it gets loose, and because it knows that Palpatine is the Sith Lord.
For some reason, that was kind of weird.
Yeah, they never really explained.
It's
much
just like,
on
I
it.
just know he's evil, so I'm gonna kill him.
Yeah, so he was destroying Coruscant, trying to find him, and every time he found like one of those big monitor screens, he goes straight through that thing and then knows where he's at because he saw the Jedi Temple in the background. Mm-hmm. So he climbs up a building, King Kong style, finds the building, and charges at it himself.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the Zillo Beast was a very interesting thing. Ironically enough, it's a worm. It's a giant...
With legs and arms, though.
Yeah, but it's very uniquely looking for a Godzilla wannabe type creature, but...
But behaviorally... That's a word. It was just like Godzilla.
Yeah. Which was very interesting to see that they did that with Star Wars. And it actually is confirmed in a canon book. The Zillo Beast actually does exist.
Oh, cool.
So they actually talk about, clones are talking about a dead Zillo Beast being researched on. So they actually do count into the story that the attack on Coruscant actually was canon.
Can you imagine if they incorporate the Zillo Beast into a legitimate Star Wars film?
That was actually the whole point of them bringing it to Coruscant, because since its armor can't be pierced, they were going to try to use it for the soldiers, which did not happen because Palpatine, for some reason, did not decide to use it.
Palpatine sucks.
Yeah, pretty much.
And everything he does.
Yeah.
Except for being evil.
Yeah.
He's okay being evil. That's what he does. But, whatever.
But yeah, the Zillo Beast was a very interesting adaptation of Godzilla, and I very much liked him.
Yeah. I guess another random little cartoon reference was everybody remembers Rugrats, right?
Oh yeah,
everybody remembers Rugrats.
The big
Phil, Lil, and
Yep.
Dumb, adorable little babies.
Yeah.
Reptar.
Straight
Reptar
up
was
Godzilla.
straight up
Not
Godzilla.
even trying to hide.
With a purple tongue.
With a purple
With
tongue.
a purple tongue.
With a
very
purple
important
tongue, yes,
because
very
whatever
purple
you
tongue.
eat that's related to Reptar will give you a purple tongue. So we actually went to Florence, well, the mall.
Well, yeah, Florence Mall, FYE.
And they had Reptar bars, and they didn't turn my tongue as purple as I wanted them to, and I felt ripped off and betrayed. But yeah.
Reptar is straight up Godzilla.
You should get a Reptar figure.
They don't really make any. I've looked.
That's a shame.
Yeah.
That's wrong.
I've been very disappointed that I tried to find one as a kid for so many years, and I just eventually just gave up because they just don't make them.
Well, then you should. You make things.
I'm planning on it. When I get a 3D printer, I'm planning on trying to make a Reptar.
3D printers are going to take over the world, as a side note. Just saying.
Yes, they will.
Third Industrial Revolution at first. And then... Dun, dun, dun. Skynet. World's over. We all died. No more podcast. Very sad.
Oh,
no! Alright, so I think that about covers it for the cartoons and TV shows, unless you got something else.
Not really. That's just for, like, the movies and those kind of things.
Yeah. Now we'll go into, like, the other familiar territory of Animankia. Anime and manga, although this is going to be all about anime. There's also probably some video games, like Rampage.
Rampage, yes.
Which is getting the movie. But we don't really... We're not really going to focus on the video game references too much, even though there's plenty, I'm sure.
Yeah.
There's Godzilla video games, like Destroy All Monsters, right?
Yep, Destroy All Monsters. There's the Wii version, Destroy All Monsters, and just all kinds of other things. It's like, they are fun to play.
Yeah, they're fun. But to the anime section of things, let's start with some of the really, really well-known ones.
Yeah, probably being one of the big ones is... Well,
Digimon? Digital Monsters? Digimon of the Champions?
We'll start with them.
Yeah, we'll start with Digimon.
And we're talking about like the ones that probably would be biggest represented as kaiju or Godzilla-esque would be Greymon and Metal Greymon.
Yeah, the partners of Tai from the first Digimon Adventure series.
Yep. Which, obviously, for anybody that knows, and I don't know very many people that probably would not know...
People who aren't 90s kids.
Yeah, pretty much. Greymon is a giant 2-story dinosaur, breathes fire, big horns on his head.
Got like a shell-type cover on his top half of his head to make him look cool.
Yep, and then his next stage is even more kaiju, because he's... God, I don't even know how big that thing is. He's huge. Is Metal Greymon.
Yeah, like a...
cybernetic.
Evil.
No,
well, not evil, but he looks evil.
He looks
like red eyes.
Yeah, but yeah, he's very, very impressive. I honestly like Metal Greymon over Greymon just because of the look and overall power.
But do you like him over War Greymon?
Yeah,
that's because he looks more like a kaiju. War Greymon looks more human. But Omnimon.
Omnimon I still like, but if we're gonna go for kaiju-ness, what about Skull Greymon?
Skull Greymon was terrifying as a child, but Digimon was secretly a dark series.
It's very dark.
Digimon Season 3.
Yes.
Nightmare Fuel.
Yes.
Digimon, it's like Digimon Season 1. Yeah, happy-go-lucky for kids. Digimon Season 2, no one liked it. Digimon Season 3, Satan! Digimon Season 3 was messed up.
Digimon Tamers, by the way. That's the name of it.
Yeah. There was also some kaiju-type things from Digimon Tamers.
Yep. Groundmon.
Groundmon. Was Vmon?
That's
2. That's right. Yeah.
Guilmon. Guilmon. Groundmon. I can't remember the third form, which is the big cybernetic one, but then his mega form is Megidramon.
Yeah.
And that thing was straight up evil because it straight up tried to eat someone. And its saliva is acid.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that thing was pretty beast.
Yeah. Digimon Season 3 was more messed up because there was like a giant cybernetic virus that was possessing and murdering people, and there was a little girl who got psychologically tortured throughout the whole entire series and had all of her friends die.
Pretty much.
So, Digimon!
Very dark. Whereas the dub of it kind of makes it a little bit less, but it's still very dark.
Yeah, it's written by the guy who did the visual novel Saya no Uta, which is known as one of the most disturbing visual novels of all time. It's like pseudo-erotic, full of fucked up imagery. So, and then he's like, you know what I should do next?
I'm going to do Digimon.
Digimon! Duh! And then it went back to being Season 4, which was cool, but yeah, whatever.
And then another one is Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yu-Gi-Oh!
And I know there's probably a lot of people saying, they're like, well, there's plenty of things to use for that, but we're talking about like the big main ones. The Egyptian gods. Slifer the Sky Dragon, and Obelisk the Tormentor, and the Winged Dragon of Ra. Which... needless to say, there's not much need to be said about them. They are straight up kaijus without a question.
I mean, Slifer's a dragon that literally has a head on top of its head.
He just has a second mouth.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's just a second mouth. But yeah, he's...
Oh, and also, Blue Eyes.
Blue Eyes is... I wouldn't say Blue Eyes is technically a kaiju. I would say Blue Eyes Ultimate is a kaiju.
Yeah, Seto Kaiba's Digimon. Digimon?
Oh, God.
Digimon? Sorry, I'm leaving
Kaiba's favorite monster, and if you watch the abridged, he is ungodly obsessed with the damn thing.
Yeah.
Even in the actual series, he is obsessed with that damn dragon.
All he uses.
All he uses and all he references, and he'll spend entire episodes talking about that damn dragon.
But it is a cool dragon.
It is very cool.
And then there's a Red Eyes Black Dragon.
Yep. Another thing, though, that's kind of funny is the fact that Blue Eyes, its name doesn't really make a whole lot of sense.
Blue Eyes, White... Yeah, it's kind of a blue dragon, isn't it?
It's a Blue Eyes Blue Dragon.
I think Blue Eyes White Dragon just rolls off the tongue better. But do you think the Egyptian gods like remind you of any particular kaijus? Is that like why you think we should focus on them the most? Like, does like Ra or Slifer reminds you of any of them?
Slifer I could see reminding me of the Godzilla kaiju Manda, which is a giant serpentine type dragon just like Slifer. Just the only thing is he doesn't have wings. But other than that, he's pretty much just like Manda. Ra's just badass.
Ra is badass. It's like a giant golden armored like
bird dragon.
Yeah. Ho-Oh.
When he goes in Phoenix form. Yeah. Otherwise, he's pretty much just like the epitome of a god dragon.
Yeah. And then there's Exodia.
Exodia, or well, in a way people could say that Obelisk is just an Exodia ripoff.
Yeah. We're going with kaijus as if they like. We're pretty sure kaijus entail humanoid type creatures, correct?
Yes.
So Obelisk and
Exodia
would
I guess Exodia could count, but mostly Obelisk just because he's in that trio.
But no one likes Exodia because he gets thrown in the river by little nerdy bug-obsessed children. That was a dick move, by the way.
And there's also on the record. There is a monster that, speaking of the little bug kid, that they have in there that is a ripoff of another Godzilla kaiju.
A bug one?
Yes. Weevil's Great Moth.
Well, Mothra.
Straight up ripoff of that thing.
Yeah, actually, he does look a lot like... Yeah.
It's... Right. Yeah. So yeah, I know we didn't really focus much on them, but it's like it's the Egyptian gods, so there's not a whole lot to really focus on. Like a lot of people know about them, and just their straight up size and their powers give them away as being straight up kaiju.
I mean, Yu-Gi-Oh is full of kaiju type monsters, and they're the epitome of the Yu-Gi-Oh card game. So they're the ones we focused on.
Yes,
but yeah, the third and most obvious of like the the trilogy of kaiju children's anime would be a Pokemon. Gotta catch them all.
Which something that I always thought of as a kid, but I never put too much thought in it because I was like, at first, like, okay, maybe it's just one or two.
No.
I feel like Pokemon ripped off Godzilla so much. Like, so many of Pokemon's monsters.
Andrew's on a crusade.
I am, because Godzilla came out in the 50s. Pokemon aired in 1996, where there was already 30 or 40 Pokemon that are kaiju from Godzilla's franchise that they could have already used.
And he went so far as to bring examples.
I brought so many examples. I'm probably not going to show them all just because there's a shit ton.
I want you to show them all, Andrew.
Okay.
I want the fruits of your research to be known by all.
Should I go with the Pokemon first and then the kaiju, or the kaiju first and the Pokemon?
I think you should do the kaiju first because that'll make it look like Pokemon ripped off him.
True, okay.
We want you to be as biased as possible. So you can agree with us.
We'll start off with probably Godzilla's most formidable enemy, which is obviously King Ghidorah.
King Ghidorah. I'll hold it closer because I'm closer to the camera. Look at
and need I really... I mean, for people that probably haven't played Pokemon very much, the one that's influenced on him is straight up obvious.
Oh, yes. Hydreigon.
Hydreigon. I mean, like, literally, it has giant wings and 3 freaking heads. Like, you cannot get any more obvious than that. There's no other Pokemon in there that has that except Dodrio, but that's not a dragon.
As a side note, I like these cool little Shadow Ball things it's got.
I know, that was
what are those?
I don't know. I think it's just part of the model.
Shadow Ball? Is that the movie's trying to be... Is he using it?
I don't know. Maybe.
It's cool looking, though.
And then another one we have is, he's hard to stand up.
It's okay.
And then we have Space Godzilla.
Dude, he's jacked.
And
do you even lift, bro? It looks like you do.
Actually, he doesn't. He uses telepathy.
To lift?
Yeah.
Lift objects with his mind. I wonder if that gives you muscles.
Well, he's definitely considered the smartest kaiju in the entire franchise.
Dang, man.
And the Pokemon that corresponds with him is Palkia.
Oh, you're so right! Look at that. He's jacked, too.
Plus, the shoulders and everything else match pretty much perfectly.
He didn't even skip leg day. He's got huge legs. Yeah, he looks a lot like him. Like the wings kind of remind me of the giant crystals on his arms, and the head's shape similar.
He still has a crest on his head.
Man, look, they're even posed the same, as if they were trying to let everyone know what they were doing.
And another one is actually referencing. I could have brought the smaller version, but since I brought him to show off, I figured I'd bring him, Hedorah, and then we got Garbodor.
This is the worst Pokemon ever made, by the way. It's up there.
But
look at that ugly thing. Why would you make that a Pokemon?
But it matches Hedorah in terms of ugliness, in terms of everything else too.
And it's literally a trash bag Pokemon created from pollution.
Yeah, so
it thematically is the same thing.
Yeah, even the origin is the same.
Yeah, except that's a cool monster, and this thing's a piece of trash, literally.
Pretty much.
Literally a piece of trash.
Yeah. And if I can keep him to have his weaponry on, we got, which, no surprise, Mechagodzilla.
Dude. Sexy.
And for him...
Now, which Mechagodzilla is this? Because there's like 50.
That is Kiryu.
Kiryu.
Basically the third incarnation of Mechagodzilla.
I think the purple, I don't know if it contrasts well with the silver.
That's just a weapon pack. Those actually can be detached in the movie and in the figure.
Okay.
And the Pokemon
that makes me happier.
The one that goes with him is Aggron.
Yeah, I can see it. He doesn't have the purple attachments, but he looks like he could. I see it. He's a metal dragon thing. I get it.
And the next one is almost 2 on the freaking nose. We got Baragon.
Is it? Wait. Volcanion?
No.
No?
No. God, no.
I'm sorry, I ruined everything. Yeah.
That's essentially a mole-type creature. And his Pokemon counterpart is, like, seriously, way too dead on.
You think
Nidoking.
So? Yeah, I can see it. Look at the ears.
The ears, the body style, the horns, everything about that thing is almost too dead on.
Yeah, you're right, actually. Yeah. Volcanion's like the more of his color, that's why. And it's got, like, Volcanion's even got the same color horn. Like, Volcanion's got, like, a yellow horn and, like, a red body, kind of like this. So I was thinking
it has a red body, but no, like, for the comparison, it's like, I go for, the look and in terms of some other things regarding to them.
See, Pokemon's so derivative that it's made 2 Pokemon out of that one poor creature. So much copyright.
And then another one that we have is Gigan.
Oh, dude.
He is
Scyther.
Nope, not Scyther.
He has Scyther's claws.
He does have Scyther's claws, but another one, the one I thought matched him a little bit better than Scyther would be Garchomp, which he's missing the top of his head.
Dude, you are so right. Look at that. Yeah. He's got the arm blades, although they're blue in this, but he's got similar kind of head. Got the fin on the back, not red, but tail's got 3 spikes off of it. This one's got 4, but yeah, it looks similar. Cool.
The next one I will give Pokemon, they probably made him first, but
really? So this is a really recent Godzilla monster.
No. Pokemon came out in 96. Mm-hmm. The one that I'm meaning is Zilla.
Oh.
Zilla came...
Everyone's favorite.
Yeah. But
I'm sure you want to see that.
I will give Pokemon... I will say that they probably came up with their monster first.
Okay.
Which would be Feraligatr.
Oh, yeah.
But it's still...
He's blue, da-ba-dee-da-ba-da, I like Feraligatr. I would have chosen him as my starter, but you know.
The next one actually is kind of a twofer on there, just because the stands is Megalon and Rodan.
Oh, so we're doing double kaiju.
Yeah, just because their stand is both of theirs is on the same stand.
There's his back. Looks kind of weird.
He's just a pterodactyl.
Okay.
And then theirs is Heracross and Aerodactyl.
Oh well, they'll be fine. You got so many figures.
I do.
This is all Andrew's wallet.
But yeah, Megalon.
I see what you mean about Aerodactyl specifically. Yeah.
And then Megalon can still easily be decided that too, because he can still fly and everything, and they're both beetle types.
Yeah, I get you.
And the next one actually is a newer Godzilla monster, so I guess I can
Pokemon did this one first again?
They did the originator, but the Mega form came after.
Okay.
Which is Monster X.
Awesome.
And his Pokemon counterpart is Mewtwo X.
Think so?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Monster
They
X
have
has got...
the word X in it, and he's like the ultimate life. Like in Pokemon, Mewtwo is kind of the ultimate life form scientific experiment.
I just meant
So-
also because they're both fight capable, and they both look like they have 3 heads on the sides of them.
Yeah, but I mean, they got the X in them, and they're both like the ultimate life form, so they're
Right.
even closer.
And then we got Mothra.
Oh, I wonder where this is going.
Probably not who you suspect.
No, really? No Venomoth?
Nope, not Venomoth.
But he has Moth in the title.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be. Volcarona.
Okay. Yeah. I think that one's pretty on the nose.
Yeah. In terms of body style and wing look and everything. And a couple of the others, well, there is actually a couple other looking little guys here. We got Kamanga, which is a Godzilla spider.
Looks just like a normal spider.
Pretty much. Yeah, he really can't do much at all.
He's just like, I'm a normal spider, but bigger. That's cool.
Pretty much. And then we got Galvantula.
You know, I would have combined that with like Ariados, I thought.
I just thought that, but
Like
that
Ariados
actually
is
looks
more...
that looks more traditional to him anyway.
Okay.
Then we got a couple from Gamera, actually.
Gamera.
Yes, we got Gamera himself.
So we exiting Godzilla.
No, there's one more Godzilla, but there's a couple of Gamera ones that were very much on the nose.
Okay.
And then we got Gamera, and then Caracosta for Gamera.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can see that. Look at that shell. Yeah.
And then the one we have, the other one for another Gamera monster is Iris.
I don't see a Pokemon looking like this.
Oh, you actually are going to be surprised then.
Really?
Yeah.
This similar?
Yeah.
What?
Maybe not to an exact scale, but pretty close. Deoxys.
Yeah. I can kind of see that. Like, wavy.
And they're
we got
both...
that one close. It's tiny.
And they're both space monsters, too.
Space monsters. Is this thing have anything to do with DNA? Does it, like, steal DNA or anything like Deoxys does?
It does steal life force to grow.
Yeah, yeah. They even got like the same kind of like weird
Chest orbital heart.
chest orb thing. Yeah, and then they got like, look at that. The head's got a three-way split on top. Head's got a three-way split on top. Man, Andrew, you did your research, kid. It's
And
like
the
you actually
last-
planned this.
The last one, which, if I even need to say the Pokemon that counteracts it, you people just need some help. The big guy himself.
I wonder which Pokemon could be based on Godzilla. What could it be, you ask?
Which, no really surprise at all, Tyranitar.
Oh, yes. Look at him. He's so green. So beautiful.
It's like, Tyranitar is almost way on the nose. But it's like, yeah, that's just something that I've always thought is that Pokemon actually ripped off Godzilla quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, at least took the generic designs of some of their monsters to make Pokemon.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I'm not complaining. The Pokemon that they used for it are pretty badass.
Yeah. Inspiration's okay. I mean, none of
Inspiration's
these
okay.
are direct copies.
Not direct copies, but a lot of them are very on the nose.
Yeah. But Japanese company, you got a monster series, got to take some references somewhere.
Right.
So, yeah, cool.
But they made them different, just different enough that Toho couldn't come after them.
Mm-hmm. Very true, very true. I guess off of Pokemon, we'll talk about some kaiju from the series Evangelion. They're in Evangelion, the kaiju are called angels. And Evangelion is interesting because as of late, they have started to cross into Godzilla territory.
Pretty much.
Godzilla and Eva are starting to become one and the same almost. Like,
Yeah.
the director of Evangelion even co-produced.
No, he didn't co-produce.
He
did
produced
He produced Shin Godzilla.
So if you don't like Shin Godzilla's design, blame the Eva guy.
But that also that's also, it wasn't until Shin Godzilla came out that Eva and Godzilla really started to connect.
Yeah, now they're doing crossover figures, crossover everything.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, the angels are interesting as kaijus because they look mechanical kinda and not like
Organic, like.
yeah, they don't look totally like monster. Like, I don't know how to describe it even. Like the one that I was talking about earlier. Dude, I had his name. Lidisreal or something?
What, the crystal?
Yeah.
It started with a D, but I can't remember it.
Yeah. But anyway, it's just
A giant diamond, basically.
A giant floating diamond that makes terrifying noises and transforms and shoots laser beams, and it's great. It when it dies and it doesn't look like a living thing at all, it just screeches and freaks
Explodes
out
in
and
blood.
explodes into a fountain of blood everywhere. And the actual things they use to fight the angels are the Avas, or the
Evangelion.
titular Evangelion, which are essentially robots, but they're alive.
Yeah.
So when they get angry,
They actually
they
go...
transform into like
Well,
living...
the only one that actually transformed is Unit 2.
Yeah, and
into a beast mode.
Yeah, and they like lose their sanity, like rip their arms off, their armor plating sheds, and they have skin and human hands and human faces, and it's terrifying.
It very much is terrifying, especially when they go berserk and start ripping
start
other
eating
Avas
each other.
apart. They actually eat. They're machines, and they will eat each other.
And there's people piloting them, so they're sitting there watching in the cockpit as blood sprays in the cockpit, and their robot they're in goes psycho. It's kind of beautiful.
It really is.
It makes you feel messed up.
But I like it.
But it's good.
It is good.
So yeah, all the kaijus in Evangelion are very unique and very out there. It's a super popular series, but yeah, they're pretty dang cool. I like them a lot.
Very much.
Another thing would be the this sounds like a group of what? How many angels are there? 12? 9? 10?
They're supposed to be like in the actual Ava series. I think that was like almost 20.
Jesus, I was off.
But
It's been a while since I watched Evangelion.
But in the actual movies, so far we only have seen them deal with like maybe 5 or 6.
Okay. But yeah, another anime series that has a lot of kaijus is Naruto, which we've talked about
the
plenty
tailed
of times.
beasts.
Plenty of times, but the tailed beasts. Do you think any of the tailed beasts are specifically referenced after Godzilla monsters?
No.
Don't think so.
I would.
We got the names. We know the names of these.
We got Shikaku,
We got
which is a
Shikaku,
tanuki,
which is the one-tailed tanuki,
which is a giant
which
raccoon.
Andrew has made.
Yep.
It's got a giant like tail that looks like a
Pine cone.
and sand powers, and the Jinchuriki. Okay, I need to back up.
Yeah.
In Naruto, these
Well,
tailed beasts.
let's just talk about that, and then we can go back and talk about that on another one. Like, talk about, like, the Jinchurikis and all that kind of stuff, about them and all that kind of stuff. Let's just focus mostly on the beasts themselves.
Okay, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so
Because that would take a lot of explanation explaining each beast, as well as the Jinchurikis and everything else.
I wasn't going to talk about the Jinchurikis. I was going to talk about why the tailed beasts exist in the first place in Naruto.
Oh, okay.
Just, they possess people, basically.
Right.
That's all I was going to go
Okay,
for. I wasn't
yeah,
gonna...
they're possessing that, and then each village possesses one or two of them as a balance of power.
Yeah, and I mostly was just going to bring it up because I was going to say Shikaku's keeps its host awake. Because
won't allow its host
restless.
to sleep. Yes.
Yeah. And then there's Matatabi,
The flame
which
cat.
is a flaming cat, and who didn't get enough screen time.
No, really, she did not.
But she was cool. Very unique among the
Very much.
The Bijou.
Her entire body is fire.
Yeah, and then we got
Isobu.
Isobu, which was another really unique one, like a turtle that had a human face with an eye.
I guess there is technically a kaiju from Godzilla similar to him. It's called Kamibus, and it's literally just a giant turtle.
Mm-hmm. And it's of note that all the tailed beasts outside of number 1, because in Naruto there's this stuff called chakra, which is basically energy, can perform this technique called the tailed beast bomb, where they create a black ball of energy and basically shoot it out as a nuke.
Shikaku can too.
In the games, but Gaara never was
No,
able
but
to...
he can.
Can he?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, he never showed it.
He never showed it, but yes, he can.
They
all can.
Yeah. So Isobu is this giant turtle with a human face and 3 tails.
Yeah, obviously, like, when we say each one of the names, we are increasing by number of tails. Like,
Yeah,
Shikaku
so this is
has
the 3
1,
tails.
Matatabi has 2, Isobu has 3.
And they all correspond to having increasing amounts of chakra as it goes up, from what we understand.
Which also incorporates more power.
Yeah. And then number 4
Son
is
Goku.
Son Goku, which, okay. If you're a fan of anime, you know Son Goku. It's the character from Journey to the West. It was a Monkey King. Every anime in existence references him. Goku from Dragon Ball.
He's a giant 4-tailed gorilla.
Giant 4-tailed... Yeah. In Naruto, Son Goku is the 4-tailed beast. He's intelligent. He talks. He's actually one of the most relevant of the tailed beasts outside of the main 3.
Yep.
And he's really got a unique design, because he's like
a
furry gorilla with like a crest on his head. He was really cool.
And reptilian-looking tails.
And the picture should be up for you guys to see, to know which ones we're talking about. And then number 5, Kokuo.
Kokuo, yep. A dolphin horse.
Dolphin horse. I gotta give Masashi Kishimoto, Naruto's writer, props for coming up with a dolphin horse. This white horse with a dolphin's head.
Pretty much.
And it kind of works.
It does kind of work.
Despite the bizarre concept. And it's got horns and it tackles things. And
yeah.
And it's of note, too, that there was a giant brawl between all these tailed beasts, and it was legendary.
It was.
One of the few Naruto DVDs I actually went out and bought because I just got the manga, and I'm a manga tard for Naruto because the fillers upset me. But I had to go out and buy the kaiju brawl because it was great.
And another reference to everything, they're giant kaijus, and they're destroying an entire landscape.
Yeah, exactly.
So why in the hell not?
Yeah. And then the Six Tails
Seiken
was a slug.
A giant slug that looks like a snowman with arms and legs.
Which is honestly one of the least creative kaiju.
Very much.
Yeah, because it's just a slug.
Considering that Naruto already had another slug.
Yeah, Katsuyu, which was a summon. And Naruto has summons, which are basically kaijus. Giant frog, giant snake.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about them some other time. That'll take forever.
Yeah, Seiken, the least popular and the least creative of the tail beasts.
Although I do like his Jinchuriki because he had bubble powers. That's cool.
Yeah.
Then
Chome,
which is like the most unique looking, and it's going to be hell for Andrew to create because he's trying to make all the tailed beasts.
I have 1, 2, 3. No, not 3. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 8, and 9.
That's impressive. That's a lot of work.
Yes.
Here, Andrew. On-screen fist pound. Yes, he deserves that.
But yeah, he is an armored beetle-looking creature with huge
literally like traditional knight armor.
Yeah, he has like a suit of armor. He has like similar horn crest on his head, and his tails
are wings, except for his final one, which is
he has 6 wings and then a long cylindrical like whip tail.
Yeah,
which form his 7 tails.
I think that thing's design is legendary.
It is very much legendary.
Yeah. And then now we're getting to the relevant characters outside of the one tails.
Yeah. Then we got Yuki.
The
8-tailed octopus ox.
Yes, an octopus dude, and that thing is OP.
It is OP.
You can cut its tails off and it'll just regenerate them.
Just like an octopus.
It can come out of the tails and it wraps.
Literally and figuratively. It wraps stuff with its tentacles and it also literally wraps.
Whoa! It's been Animankia. That pun was too much. I liked it. But yeah, so
his Jinchuriki technically wraps.
Yeah, which his host.
Yeah. But when he takes over, it makes the octopus ox rap.
Yeah, they're friends.
They are.
He's like
they're best friends.
Yeah, he's one of the only Tailbeasts who's friends with his host
in the beginning.
Yeah. I guess when they first met, they might not have been, but
later on they did.
Yeah, and then Ninetales, which is
Kurama,
Kurama,
whatever.
Which you've watched Yu Yu Hakusho or a bunch of other Japanese shows, you would know there's a nine-tailed fox name.
Or Katsune.
But Naruto has the nine-tailed fox,
and he is the most sadistic one of all.
Okay, so they were all created by the Sage of Six Paths. I'm not going to get too far into it, but the Sage of Six Paths played favoritism for the Ninetales, because, like, they increase in power just a little bit until you hit Ninetales, where he's just, like, 10 times as strong as all the other ones combined.
Which is also funny, because Ninetales continuously makes jokes on how the more tails means more power, so he always jokes and makes fun of the one-tailed Tanuki, being that he only has one tail.
Yeah, but he's just a giant nine-tailed fox, but somehow, even though his design is simplistic, he is really menacing and cool.
Oh, he's OP.
And he's way bigger than the others, too.
He's way bigger, considering also a little thing that we'll get into later. He's cut in half. His power got cut in half.
Which shrunk him in half, and he's the same size as the other ones when he's half the size.
Yes, so think about that. Like, Naruto only has half of Ninetales' true power.
Yeah, until later.
Until later on. But then, yeah, he turns... I don't know... Does he actually get the full power? Like, have both halves?
Yeah, eventually, at the very end.
So, yeah, Kurama will be back to his true self, which is massively huge.
Yeah. The tail beasts in Naruto are awesome. They're really unique and cool. Kaiju, basically.
They all have their own personalities, too, which is another interesting concept.
Yeah.
Some are nice, some are friendly, some are assholes.
And some are all dependent on their host.
Yeah. Well, they are all dependent on their hosts.
Yeah, because they're supposed to be mindless when they're just running around.
Yes.
Even Yuki.
Without a host, they're just mindless creatures.
Except Kurama seemed to have intelligence.
Which
is probably favoritism.
Yes.
He gets everything, and I wouldn't hate him for it.
Plus, he's
deserved.
That's the reason why he's cute. He's a fox.
Oh, yeah, they had baby forms, too?
Which were adorable.
Which were literally just smaller versions, except for the Seven Tails, where he actually looked like a larva.
A slug. Or a larva. Yeah,
it was great. But yeah, so there's the Naruto Kaiju. They're all great. Really quick here, just run through two more anime that have some kaijus in them, and that's Gurren Lagann.
Yes.
And Darling in the Franxx, which is a newer series, which I just started and Andrew's watching, and it's pretty good.
Very, very good.
Pretty good so far. But the Gurren Lagann has these things called Beastmen. Basically,
they're not so much kaiju.
Yep. Well, they pilot mechs that are.
They pilot mechs. The
mechs
are,
are kind of living in.
Yeah.
They have faces and they talk. They're called faced mechs, and they're interesting. But yeah, they're piloted by these things called Beastmen, and there's some like bigger creatures. Like, would you call the anti-spiral a kaiju? He's fucking big and he's alive.
I don't know. He only took those forms to match the way that they were fighting.
Because he's a troll.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Gurren Lagann kind of had some kaijus, and then Darling in the Franxx has these things called Cloxosaurs, which are
Klaxosaur.
Once again kind of like a mechanical hybrid of a.
We really have no explanation what these things are yet.
Yeah.
The series is only about halfway over, but we still have no explanation where they come from, what they are. All we know is that they eat magma. That's all we know about them.
Yeah,
and that they are a threat to humanity.
Indeed. But yeah, so I think that's most of the references we got for anime, and that's most of the references we have in general, off the top of our heads anyway. But we'll send some recommendations your guys' way as we usually do. Did you bring anything as a reference?
I brought one thing. I can talk about a couple others, but the one I actually brought is the original 1954 black and white Godzilla.
Classic.
Which, yeah, even to this day, I would still prefer this over almost all the other ones. I still like all the other ones, but as far as just like overall story and almost horror aspect, the original Gojira is the best.
True fan says it like Gojira. I need to watch the original because I haven't seen it.
You really do. It's very good.
Yes. So it's a Blu-ray of the original Gojira. Does that like make every flaw more glaring because it's high def?
Actually, no, it improves it.
Really?
Yeah. Because like a lot of like the old ones, like you'd see that it's like the black and white roll cap going on, like the little lines would come across real quick, like. Mm-hmm. Gets rid of that. It's just like a pure crystal clear thing.
Nice.
So yeah.
So you had a couple of other ones you wanted to talk about. I'll let you do those before I talk about mine since I have DVDs for them.
Yeah, I guess another one would be it's another kaiju reference or another kaiju series, which would be Gamera.
Okay.
Which is not
Godzilla.
No, but it's still very much the same thing in a way. It's just basically it involves this guy, where he is pretty much the Godzilla of his universe, and he is basically the guardian of the world, which people
the opposite of Godzilla.
pretty much. But a lot of people misunderstand that it's like in the movies they see Gamera show up and he fights and he's like, okay, he's here to protect us. It's like, no, he's here to protect the Earth, not necessarily humanity.
So if he steps on a person or two,
no,
the Earth's still okay.
No, he will avoid killing people as best as he can. He will even put himself in the way of people getting killed, but he's not necessarily the guardian of people. Like, they even said in things, Gamera fears that mankind may actually be the Earth's true undoing. So if that happens, Gamera would destroy the world, or destroy the human race, because he's only meant to protect Earth, not people.
So for clarification, did they ever cross over Gamera and Godzilla?
No, they never have.
It'll happen one day.
I hope they will, because they've been rivals for almost a decade, or for over a decade.
They've been rivals they've been competitors. Not really
Pretty much.
rivals. They don't know it. You have to be personal to be a rival, but
yeah.
But yeah. Any other ones?
Not so much like referential type things, but just almost any just kaiju movie, film, stuff like that in general.
Okay. I got like just a few kaiju or anime with like kaiju elements and stuff. One of which we've already talked about, but I'll show off the DVD and talk about it a little more. So yeah, the one we've already kind of talked about is Evangelion. This is the movie. They did a reboot of the series,
which actually turns out is the way the director actually wanted the series to go.
Oh, from the get-go.
Yeah.
Oh,
like
cool.
The way the movies go, that's how he wanted the series to go. I mean, granted they're virtually the same, but the third movie changes up drastically, and that's the route he wanted to originally go.
Nice. So yeah, Evangelion is a really unique series. some people aren't too fond of how the main character is kind of a
Wuss.
wimp. But to be fair, he's got a bad life. He got forced into bad things. What's cool about this is the main characters are all like 14 years old, even though they don't physically look like it too much. But they actually act their age. They get stressed out and freaked out by all these
schoolwork,
terrible
shit.
situations.
Yeah.
That are forced upon them. And it's like a psychological horror kind of aspect because they're the only ones who can pilot these things to save the world because reasons. I won't get
Because
into
it's an anime and
Because
children
animes-
have to pilot the giant
Children have to pilot the giant mechs, duh. Because they're pure of heart. No,
Yeah,
but I don't
sure.
think that's the reason. But yeah, it's super interesting. The ending is whack, but they're making the remakes to adjust certain things. You want big, cool robot fights. You want psychological, effed up stuff. You want occasional random nudity. Here you go. But it's a great series. It's a classic.
Very much so.
Very much so. All right. So next, this is another movie version of a thing that has a show. This is the Vision of Escaflowne movie, which is kind of like a retelling of the show. It's very similar to Evangelion in one way, which is that it involves a giant mech called Escaflowne, and it's like a living dragon, but it like when you pilot it, it shoots these tendrils into your neck and sucks your blood. It's like a blood-sucking mech, and it transforms into like a humanoid form, and the mechs all have blood and
A vampiric dragon.
It's a vampiric dragon mech. As cool as that sounds, it's about as cool as it sounds.
Sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, it's got some interesting themes. There's kind of like a prophecy, and they got to undo it. It's a little stereotypical, but interesting. It's even kind of like trapped in another world, but one of the first ones. Like it's a girl who gets trapped in the other world, and it's she goes there. It's fantasy, but it's nothing like current Trapped in World in another world shows. It's a lot more serious and stuff. But not saying current ones aren't, but certain ones are. So yeah, it's been a while, honestly, since I watched the Evangelion movie, so I can't give you a super good plot synopsis. It's been a long time, honestly. But it's great. I wouldn't have bought it if it wasn't. And then there's a 25-episode anime series, which is called The Vision of Escaflowne, which covers the same events, but it's not quite as dark. For example, in the movie version of Escaflowne, there's a scene that the characters kind of have like psychic powers, and there's a guy on a horse, and the dude like just points his hand at the horse and the guy on it, and the guy's looking around, and the horse starts floating off the ground, and then the horse just gets pulled apart and ripped in half, and you just see its guts fly everywhere.
Oh wow, nice.
Yeah, that's not really in the original Vision of Escaflowne series. It's a bit more chill. But yeah, highly recommended. It's a lot of fun. And this is a bit different than the last one. It's quite a bit. And this is Ushio and Tora. It's an old shonen action series, kind of like, your Naruto, your Bleaches, your One Pieces. But it's about this kid named Ushio, who he goes down into his grandpa's cellar, and his grandpa keeps telling him never to go down there because there's a demon, and he's like, yeah, whatever. Well, he goes down there, and surely enough, there's this giant tiger demon which has like a spear through his arm, trapped in the bottom of the cellar. And just by opening the cellar, it lets out this creature's demonic energy. It basically draws all these creatures towards him, and it forces him to free him, because if he doesn't free him, then the monsters are going to come and kill everyone he knows. So he has to free Tora, who is the demon in the cellar. And they basically form a begrudging bond. I won't reveal where it goes, but it's more like, you would think in a lot of shows like this that he frees them and then they're like actually instantly friends. No, they like have actual attempts on each other's lives. They don't get along very well for a long time.
Kind of like Naruto and Kurama, except Kurama can't actually hurt him.
Yeah, Kurama's tied to Naruto. Like, Naruto dies, Kurama dies. Tora's not.
Oh, okay.
So he can try to kill Ushio all he wants. But it's really interesting, and the reason I bring it up in this is because it's kind of Monster of the Week. There's all these Japanese demons from various myths that they go after, some of which are colossal monstrosities, kaijus in their own right. They always have to defeat them with all kinds of unique old Japanese mythy kind of methods. And it's just got cool action in general. And the main villain, who I won't spoil too much about, is essentially a giant kaiju by the name of Hakumen no Mono. And I think he is one of the coolest looking kaiju type creatures ever. And he's super menacing. He's super intelligent. He's like a fox kind of. He's got this terrifying eye that just gets shown throughout the series. Like it's Hakumen no Mono. And you just see this weird, multi-layered eye.
Damn.
Yeah, and he can like spawn all these little versions of himself. But yeah, he's a really threatening antagonist. And it's a cool series if you're into stuff like Naruto, Bleach, current shonen. But this is like kind of started a lot of things that they would use later. Yeah. So yeah, it's cool. I think kaiju fans would like it just because of the sheer amount of monsters. You should check it out some point.
I plan on it.
I think you'd like it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's all the recommendations I have and all the recommendations Andrew has.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what about do it for our show tonight, I think. Yeah,
Yeah.
we don't really have too much else to talk about.
No, I think we're pretty much good.
Yeah, one final small apology for the lack of videos the last couple weeks. We'll try to remedy that in the future.
We just had
Door
weather.
slam.
Yeah.
If you heard that. So yeah, that will be all. Next week we're going to try our hardest to do our first live show.
Yes.
We said it on camera, so we have to do it now. What the topic's going to be, we're still deciding, but we have a couple ideas. So look forward to that. And that'll about do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. This has been
Animankia.
Animankia. And I'm Mark.
I'm Andrew.
Keep it squirrely, people. The squirrel was magic!